I got a video request, my recommended rates for future sailors. Here we go. If you're watching this video, you're probably thinking about joining the military or joining the US Navy. You see this big list of jobs and you're like, what the heck are all these symbols? And you can look online and you can find people talking about these jobs, but if you don't know the lingo, understanding these jobs becomes really difficult. Okay, I came up with 5 criteria that I really wanted to do for my life. I wanted to do as a challenge. And the first one would be travel. I'd never traveled before. I'd never really been anywhere. A couple of states, I'd play sports in other states or whatever, but I hadn't seen much of the world. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see the sea. Transitioning out of the military, that's criteria number 2. What job is going to help me when I get out? Or if I don't like it in the military, in 5 years, I check all the boxes, cross the blue line. I got my GI Bill. What job can I get into from there? That's number 2. Is the job fulfilling? Is it fun? Do I like doing this thing? As a quartermaster, I liked some of it. Most of it I did not like. Most of it was involving math. Is it dangerous? I did not want a job where I got out of the military and I was broken up. I do not want to die. The 5th criteria would be advancement. A lot of jobs, you might love the job, but you get stuck in it. Boatswain mate is one thing. There's a ton of boatswain mates. It's really hard to advance as a boatswain mate. Quartermaster, my job was pretty easy to advance. Here are 6 recommended rates that benefit my skill set, and maybe if you're watching this video, they would benefit yours too. The first would be AG, Aerographers Mate. Aerographers Mate is, if you get a broad description of this job, it would be the weatherman on a warship. I learned a lot about AG as a quartermaster because I was attached to a small ship, and small ships don't have AGs. You're going to read the clouds. You're going to read reports. You're going to read barometric pressure. You're going to take readings with specific machines to understand the climate and the atmosphere to predict what the warship is going to go through in the next 4 hours. Aerographers mates also predict the sea states. Sea state is relatively predictable. The moon revolves around the sun, and the moon is a magnet with Earth, which is a magnet, and draws the ocean as it turns around the ocean, or around the world. So you're going to be predicting what the ocean, the sea state's going to be like, storms, weather, all that stuff, and you're going to be preparing that for bombardments, attacks, ships planning. So if we need to go to A to B, what kind of weather are we going to get there? What kind of sea states are we going to get there? Warships can't generally travel in specific sea states. Like, for instance, if the sea is above 12 feet, the warship will turn in a different direction and go to a place where it's calmer. Aerographers mates don't travel that much. You're going to be attached to a big warship, which doesn't hit port as much, right? Big warships, are like a nuclear carrier, is allowed to stay at sea for an extended amount of time. So prepare for 76 days at sea, 70 days at sea, 100 days at sea. Your port stops are going to be half as much as like a destroyer or a smaller ship. Transitioning out of the military, you're an AG, there's not many places to go, right? You can work for a news station, a weatherman. You could work for NOAA. You could work for other agencies to predict weather at a high level. But there's not really many jobs outside that favor your skill set as an AG. Aerographers mate, is it fulfilling? I would say yes, it is fulfilling. You're going to be a part of a lot bigger things in the U.S. military. You're going to be a part of all the navigation briefs. Anytime a warship is doing something, whether it be bombardment or flying planes off the deck, the atmosphere, the sea state, the storms, they all matter. So you're going to be presenting this information to the captain, and the captain is going to make the decision. Do we do it or do we not do it? So yeah, I'd say it's fulfilling as far as the job is concerned. Is it dangerous? No, not at all. All Navy ships have basically an iron dome around it. That's what you got to understand. They have an iron dome around it. So you're going to be on the deck of a warship. You're going to be outside a lot taking measurements, whether it be the wind or the barometric pressure, and rockets are not going to be coming in and hitting you. I don't know if we've ever lost an AG in the United States military. I'd say it's a 0 point dangerous, so that's a good thing. If you're an aerographers mate, are you going to advance? Are you going to get to E5 quick? E5 is kind of like, I'm making money now. I have enough money to support myself and something else like a dog or a wife or something like that. So is it good for advancement? The internet says it's good for advancement. I would say it's moderate. It's not great for advancement, for the only reason is you're not working with a bunch of people. So you're working like 1 or 2 aerographers mate on a big ship. So there's a limited amount of jobs to advance to. And AG is probably one of those rates where people stay in for a long time to keep it going. It's a pretty good job. So advancement moderate. I would say overall on my list, it's probably the last one that I would choose, but still top 5 jobs that are better than quartermaster. The second job that I would recommend to future sailors is MC, Mass Communication Specialist. Mass Communication Specialist is a military journalist. You're going to be taking photography, videography, you're going to be writing, you're going to be doing news. The U.S. Navy puts out press releases and pictures. These are coming from MCs usually. On the outlying case like me, I could take pictures and stuff like that because our ship was very small. We didn't have an MC attached to it, so they looked for people that were not doing their job as much or like to take pictures, like to write articles, and that's what I did. So that was my ancillary job in the United States military, was assistant public affairs officer. I did a lot of the photos and videos. Travel. You're going to be on a warship. You're going to be attached to bigger decks like carrier, amphibs. They have mass communications people attached to them, meaning you don't leave the ship. That's your job. You're on it. You're going to spend 4 years taking care of the videography, photography, writing for a specific ship. Now, on smaller decks like destroyers or minesweepers or frigates, what I was on, they will have MCs attached to them on a temporary basis for like a deployment, for like a 6-month deal. That would be the cake gig, in my opinion. You don't have to do all the shore stuff that the ship people have to do, and you can just be attached to them during the fun part. That's deployment. In addition to warships, you can also be attached to bases. You're going to be in studios. You're going to be working with high-tech equipment. You're going to be doing a pretty chill job, and you can be attached all around the world, and there's unique travel involving MC. Transitioning out of the military with an MC in your back pocket is not the greatest. There's not many places that you can go outside of journalism. So if you want to, I know there's MCs that have transitioned out of the military and gone to newsrooms and stuff like that for media, and that's good. That's good. But overall, film photography doesn't pay very well, so your job's, outside the real world is not going to be that sexy. Is it fulfilling? Is it a fun job? Will you be happy or satisfied in this job? I would say there's a moderate fulfillment. It's fulfilling as far as, when you're on a warship or whatever and you're in a navigation brief and you're looking up at the captain, pointing out what we need to do, and there's your picture. That's pretty cool. You see your picture in a magazine, or you see your picture, your photography in a newspaper or something. That's pretty cool. As well as like social media stuff, you get to create some of that stuff. That's neat. You're not going to be in combat, and if that's something you want to see or whatever, cool. But you will be in combat zones. So like if you're in Afghanistan, you'll stay on the base. You'll work on the base. There won't be any situations where you're going to be leaving to get into the fight. So that's one thing. So you're not going to be some badass holding gun, that's for sure. But is it fulfilling? Yes, I would say it's fulfilling, because every time that you create something, it's probably going to get seen somewhere, and that's pretty much the goal of all videographers. Death and danger, not very much. Now, combat cameraman, that used to be something where they would attach a cameraman to a platoon or something like that, And that doesn't exist anymore due to the casualties that MCs were taking in Vietnam, or combat cameramen were taking in Vietnam, so they don't do that. They'll film the training of combat, and that's really cool. But you won't be involved in dangerous subjects, probably never. I don't know if there's been an MC that's gotten injured in years in the military. Advancement, it's a double-edged sword. When you're a mass communication specialist, you're going to progress very easily early on in your career, like E1 to E5, pretty quick advancement, good advancement, better than good. But after that, E6 and above, it's a little bit harder to advance. That means, you're going to be working in a specific job for years, or specific advancement level for years. And if you're good enough, you'll move on from there. But the advancement in the upper ranks are a little bit tougher. But I would say, year 1 to year 5, it's a heck of a job. The next fulfilling job for future and prospective sailors, RP, Religious Program Specialist. You're probably going to get some mixed reviews on this one, but let me tell you why I think this job is pretty cool. A religious program specialist is basically attached to the hip to the chaplains. The chaplains are the pastors or the religious people. They come to worships, they say prayers, they do counseling, stuff like that. Now, early on in your career, if you're an RP, you're going to be doing a lot of ancillary duties, setting up the church, doing a lot of administrative tasks for the chaplains. But chaplains cannot carry guns in war. So a lot of chaplains are going to war zones. They bring you along. You're going to go to A school. You're going to go to C school. You're going to learn different ways to shoot guns, and you're going to be carrying a gun in the field, actually in the field. There's been RPs that have gotten, big time medals for their valor in combat. So that is a potential. And if you're into that, that's a pretty cool potential. But again, you're not going to just be put into the field. You're going to have to want to do that. And I think that'd be pretty cool. Protect a chaplain in war zones. That's pretty cool. You're going to be doing a lot of church. Now, I don't know how the military is doing with churches anymore. I think there's a lot of different religions that kind of crept in. But yeah, you're going to be saying prayers and stuff, or you're going to be preparing stuff for the chaplain to say prayers for people and counsel people. I'd say it's up there in the jobs that I would say would be pretty cool. Travel is going to be unique if you are into the combat thing. It is not going to be unique if you just want to sit around and hang out with the chaplain on a base or in a church. Most bases have a church or a chapel, some sort of thing that you can go to and talk to the Lord. But pretty much you're going to be stuck with chaplains. You're going to be stuck on a base unless you choose to take the dangerous route. Transition out of the military, there's not much at all, actually. It's probably zero transition unless you want to get into the religious field or you want to become a chaplain in real life. It's a good jump board for that. But yeah, there's not really any jobs that transition in the same skill sets that you will learn. So transition, none. Yeah, is it fulfilling? It's just dependent on what you want to do. If you want to protect somebody, you want to go to a war zone, you want to be in the fight but not really, that would be a cool job to take. Is it dangerous? I would say if you're in the Navy, you just stick out with the Navy. It's not dangerous whatsoever. You're not going to be getting bombed or anything like that. But if you go to a war zone, there is a potential for danger. Chaplains are somebody that are in high demand as far as like going after if you're a bad guy. You get the chaplain, you get the morale goes way down. So I would say if you can protect a chaplain during a war zone of Marines, that would be pretty fulfilling. But other than that, not very fulfilling. Advancement is real good. There's a lot of options. Like I mentioned, you go work for the Marines or, you can go a lot of different places. But the advancement, according to the internet, advancement's okay. I would say it's pretty good. So yeah, Religious Program Specialist, RP. This next job might be my favorite job. Unfortunately, I do not possess any of the skills to do this job, and you have to have a tryout for this job. This is musician. When you go to boot camp, They're going to ask if anybody wants to try out for musician. If you can play a specific instrument, or you can sing, or you can do the drums or something like that, you're going to try out for it. It's just like American Idol or something. And then if you get that rate, you're going to go through boot camp and with a bunch of other musicians, and you'll have your own specific division in boot camp just for the musicians. This doesn't, you have to play an instrument. This is not like if you can rap or make a beat. No, you have to actually do music to do this. You should be able to read music at the time that you do this. But what an MU does is they go around and they party. That's their entire job. They go and they play music. They're in a band or they're in an ensemble like a symphony or whatever, and you do big events. It's a heck of a job, in my opinion. I mean, I went to some of the big parties on carriers. They were a blast. The band's playing. They're not in uniform. The band was wearing Hawaiian t-shirts. It was actually in Hawaii. But I was like, what is that job? And are they in the Navy? Yeah, you can be a musician in the United States Navy. Travel. Lots of travel. You're not going to be stuck to one place. Most likely you're going to go to different events, different places, unique travel, airplanes, helicopters, buses, I don't know. All kinds of different machines are going to take you to the party. Navy sailors have a lot of events and parties and pomp and circumstance, and you're going to be a part of it. Transitioning out of the military, I'd say there's like zero. I mean, it's hard to become a musician in the outside world. So, you're going to be relegated to SoundCloud if you're going to be a musician. So don't expect this job in the military to carry over to the outside world, civilian world. Probably not going to happen. Is it fulfilling? You're always around happy faces. Well, most of the time. Sometimes you have to do funerals and stuff like that. But most of the time you're involved with it. So you're going to be playing some music. You take a break, have some of the nice food that the officers are eating. Go back, play some more music. Your day's done. Right? You're not going to be doing this day in and day out throughout the week as well. This is just like a kind of a gig, you're going to be a gig artist in the United States military. So kind of cool that way. Fulfilling, I'd say very fulfilling. You're going to be doing some cool stuff. And people are going to be dancing around you, happy. You're going to be happy a lot of the times. Is there a level of dangerous to MU? Zero. You will not have to get killed. You're not going to be carrying a gun. You're not going to be involved in combat in any such way. If you can remember, like the Civil War, they had the drummer boy. Doom, doom, doom. Drummer boy was technically an MU. That doesn't happen anymore. There ain't no drums in war anymore. So yeah, you're going to be safe the entire time you're there. Advancement. Your talent level is a huge thing with it. Your advancement. So if you're an average singer, you're probably going to advance less than a good singer or a guitarist or a drummer or a saxophonist or a violinist. Any type of instrument you can play, if you're really good at it, you'll probably advance quicker. Time in service is a big thing with advancement. So time in service is a thing with all advancement. I mean, if you're in a specific amount of time, you're expected to advance to a specific. If you're not an E5 by the time that you get your first 5 years in the military, you're probably not meant for the military. So you'll advance, but it really has to do with your skill set. The next job that I would recommend to future sailors is a new job in the United States military, relatively new, is RW, Robotics Warfare Specialist. And it is what it sounds like. You're going to be working with robots. And when I say it's new, because the battle space has changed so much with technology and AI and everything, they're bringing in more technical jobs like robots. And now they have little robot dogs, and eventually they'll have robot people with guns, So you're going to be working on that, but you're also going to be working on the programming of them, the driving of them. If you're going to learn how to defuse bombs with these robots. So that's a pretty sexy job in my opinion. Travel is going to be, it's going to be to war zones, right? They're not diffusing bombs with robots in Alabama or something like that. So you're going to be going to war zones. If you want to go to war zones and stuff like that, your travel is going to be pretty unique, but you're not going to be really on warships or anything like that. You're going to be mainly on land. And so travel is going to be mediocre. Transition outside world, there's a huge upsell as far as like government contracting. You can go right across to contracting. There's a huge amount of jobs that are available for you in contracting. Contracting is just like it's military, but without the uniforms and without the brass. So there's a lot of money in it, but unfortunately, again, you're going to be stuck to war zone bases and stuff like that. So the transition is mediocre because you're not going to have a nice, comfortable place in the United States to work. But now that robots are more remote, we can control a robot from Florida in Afghanistan. So I'd say that it's mediocre. I'm not really sure. It's a new rate, so I'm not sure about the transition outside. Is it fulfilling? I would say it's very fulfilling. I can imagine that you send up a robot, you defuse a bomb with a robot, that it would be pretty cool because it didn't kill a bunch of people. So you're indirectly going to be saving lives in this job, which is cool. It's got to be fulfilling. Is it dangerous? Will you die in this scenario, in this job? Again, it's kind of new. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think so. If you're going to be working a robot, you're not going to be working a robot close to a bomb that's going to blow up in your face. And we fly drones from Florida in Afghanistan, so the remote access is, you got cameras. So you will be doing some remote type of work, but never close enough to the machine gun fire or the bombs, I don't think. Number 5, advancement. I'd say that because this is a new job, the advancement is poor. I don't even think they have E6s yet. So they started this job and they just had a bunch of like lower rate type of folks. So advancement's not going to be great for you. And there's not that many of this job in the United States military right now. So you're kind of like fighting with a small group of people for these pretty sacred jobs. So advancement is poor, I would say. Last on the list of top 5 jobs for prospective sailors. This is the one that I would have joined. I qualified for it and did not get it. I don't know why. I should have. This is a really cool job. Intelligence specialist, IS. What's an IS, intelligence specialist? Intelligence specialist is in charge of the collection and interpretation of data for the battle space. We basically set up a battle space for the captain or for the warships or for the battle group or for the president to give a clear understanding of what they're getting into before they start fighting. Your travel is going to be very unique. You're going to get to go to a lot of different places, warships, bases. You're going to be traveling in all kinds of different machines, helicopters, cargo ships, all kinds of stuff. And so it's a very unique travel experience. I would say that's a huge plus for this job. Your transition outside of the military, there's a huge amount of jobs available outside of the military and intelligence. There's tons of jobs as a contractor, Pentagon type stuff. Intelligence works really well with outside world, and intelligence specialist also bodes well if you want to become an officer, an intelligence officer, which it even gets sexier. So you're going to have some pretty unique opportunities outside of the military, but again, it's going to be in the military space. So contracting is going to be where you're going to focus on, or other government work. There's not many intelligence jobs that you'll transition to in the civilian world in the United States. But I think there's some pretty high level places you can go outside of the military. One of the things I really liked about IS is they have a different regulations as far as like uniforms and grooming standards. Like if you're going to go and work in Afghanistan, you'll probably be required to have a beard. You won't be wearing a uniform out in the field. You will be out in the field. You'll be doing some cool stuff that way. Is the job fulfilling? I would say as fulfilling as any job that you can get in the United States military. Your work will have worldwide implications. You will, if you're good enough, you will be able to brief high-level people in the government, including the president. So you're going to be sitting there talking to the president about what you've discovered in the battle space. It's pretty important stuff, considering. So I would say it's a super fulfilling job. Death, danger. I think there is a moderate level of death and danger, but I would say as an enlisted person, you're pretty safe. You're not going to be in the battle. You probably won't be carrying guns, but you could be put into some situations. I mean, I know intelligence specialists that were in hotels in war zones or whatever, or they were in safe houses in war zones. This is mainly the Marines. The Marines have intelligence as well, but yeah. That's not the most safe environment to be in, but there's not that many ISs that get danger or in danger or get hurt or killed in the United States military. So I would say that there's a low chance of you getting hurt as an IS. Advancement as an IS, intelligence specialist, advancement is pretty good. It's average. Again, time and rate and how good you are at your job will determine whether you advance quickly. You'll be an E5 before your first term ends for sure. So that makes it pretty good. That's the list for prospective sailors. If you want to be in the United States Navy, here's some jobs that might be a good thing. A lot of people come to my channel, they say, I want to do what you do. I want to ride on boats and carry guns and stuff like that. Well, if you really want to do that, the job that I was in is no longer available. So if you really want to get into like a combat role, know what you're getting into first. I mean, there's an unlimited amount of podcasts and people talking about killing people. You could be one of those people if you want to be, but it's not going to be easy. You don't just get ushered into it. It's an extremely hard thing to get into, not only physically, but mentally. You have to have intelligence. You can't just be any Joe with a gun. You have to be like mentally stable, at least going in. And I know a little. I was stationed at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado for 3 years. I got to watch the Bud students over and over every morning. I loved it. I loved the environment. I would not want to do their job whatsoever. I have no desire to have a gun. So, but talking with these people and working with these people, I kind of have a basic understanding of it. And I'm going to give you the same breakdown, but for the big four special operations in the United States Navy. EOD, this is the fourth one. This is the one I would not pick. EOD. Your travel is going to be insane. It's going to be a wild existence. Your travel is going to be extensive. You're going to be working closely with the Navy SEALs, like right behind the Navy SEAls. If they go in, you're going to be there with them. That's pretty cool. They respect you like crazy. Transitioning outside of the military as an EOD is very good. The skill set that you need, the understanding, the dealing with pressure, these are very high commodities. But again, this is another job that's going to be mainly focused on contracting or government work, police work. They have robotics stuff there. You're going to be highly sought after. And a contracting job as an EOD person pays extremely well. You're going to be making six figures easy. Transitioning out is going to be really good. Is it fulfilling? I would say just like robotics warfare, if you can untangle a bomb and make sure people aren't dying, that's got to be extremely fulfilling. Danger and death, this is probably the most dangerous job in the United States military. You're going to be getting shot at. You're going to be around some dangerous stuff. And the people that you're going to be around will probably either get injured very badly or die. I have not met an EOD person that has not experienced that. Advancement in special operations is extremely good. There's a lot of money that goes into it. You're going to be in war zones, so you're going to be getting a specific pay, imminent danger pay. Your paycheck's going to be significant. Number 3 on the list as far as special operations is concerned, Navy diver. Navy diver is a pretty cool job. Most of the Navy divers that I knew, they had their shirts off. They were wearing shorts around the base. Their uniform and their grooming regulations is a lot different. It looked like a pretty cool thing to get into. If you're on a shore duty, you're going to be working on hulls of ships, maybe even welding or fixing or doing something underneath the ship. Navy divers are not necessarily people that run and gun, but they have a lot of big responsibilities, very coveted rate in the United States military. Your travel is going to be in or around water. So there's no use for you to be in Afghanistan or Iraq or something like that. So you're going to be around ships and stuff like that. Navy divers are attached to warships on deployment like carriers, and their job is pretty cake. When I was on a warship, our Navy divers didn't do any work. We didn't have any situation where we needed them throughout the 8 months of deployment. So yeah, you got to sit around a lot. So getting into it's got to be extremely hard. I mean, I've watched a couple of the movies about it. It looks pretty tough to get into it. Danger level for a Navy diver, I'd say pretty good. I mean, I don't know if many Navy divers are dying or getting hurt, but there is this one situation that sticks in my mind. There was a Navy diver underneath a warship. A warship did not turn off the intakes. They did not secure the intakes. Intake means the warship pulls in water and uses that water for specific amounts of things like drinking or showers and stuff. So they didn't secure that. So the suction was there. The Navy diver went under the ship and then got sucked up into the suction and then was later found dead. So there is a dangerous element. Anytime you're working underwater, you're working with sea creatures. That's a dangerous element. But overall, I think it's a pretty safe environment. Advancement for all these is going to be really good. You're going to advance. The second best option for a prospective sailor who wants to go with special operations would be U.S. Navy SEAL. Travel is going to be outstanding. You're going to do travel in the most cool, mini subs and all kinds of different travel. You're going to travel in futuristic ways, unlimited amount of resources for the travel for Navy SEALs. So you're going to see a lot of the world as a Navy SEAL. Now you can transition and become a contractor and do the running and gunning as a contractor. It's not fulfilling as a contractor because the pomp and circumstance, the respect level for you as a contractor is diminished greatly. Whereas everybody on the internet's talking about how cool Navy SEALs are. You can start your podcast and all that stuff, write your books. But I would say if you listen to the way these guys talk, we have an exorbitant amount of written and videographic proof that their lives after the military isn't so good. When you're dealing with death and destruction a lot, it's not the most happy place. So I would say fulfilling, moderate. Death and danger, definitely probably the high, EOD would be the most dangerous. Navy SEAL would be the second most dangerous. A lot of them get shot and killed. You're going to be working early on in your career, running and gunning, and after a certain amount of time, you're not going to be able to walk. Not well, anyway. You're going to get up out of your bed and you can barely move. You're going to get into plane crashes, helicopter crashes. You're going to be fighting with people. So the danger level is heightened dramatically. Advancement, great. This is another job I qualified for and I didn't take because I didn't know it was involved. I don't know if I could have got through BUDS because these people go through BUDS as well, but these are the real silent professionals in the United States Navy. This is SB, Special Warfare Combatant Crewmen. These are the boat crews for the United States Navy SEALs. Pretty cool job. Travel is going to be super unique. An example, you could be on a cargo ship with your boat and your crew. Push the boat out of the cargo ship over some body of water. Then you jump after that boat. Your parachute. You fly in, you hit the deck or hit the water, and then you prepare the boat and then go meet the Navy SEALs wherever they need to go. You're also going to be traveling on some of the most sophisticated and fastest boats in Navy history. 60, 70 knot boats flying. Also machine guns everywhere on it. You're going to learn how to operate the engine. You're going to understand all the little technologies on it. You're going to radars and stuff like that. Unique travel for SB. Transition out of the military is much like the other special operations commands. There's going to be similar jobs, but in the contracting world, they have SBs on just civilian cargo ships just to protect them from pirates, machine gun stuff. There's a lot of cool places that SBs can go outside of the military. Death, moderate danger, not a crazy amount of danger. There is a considerable amount of injuries that come with driving in boats and on water. There is an MIT study done by Rear Admiral Todd Whalen, and he basically deduced that these boats are the equivalent of being in hundreds of car crashes. Most of the SWIC guys that are retired, they have bad joints, bad backs, bad knees. That's going to be something you're going to deal with probably for the rest of your life. Advancement like the others, awesome. These are the jobs that I would recommend to you if you're just a regular sailor like me or a prospective cool guy. These are the jobs that you should take. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.